Friends, this is a presentation on analysis of variance. In one earlier presentation, we considered a case in which there is one dependent variable and one independent variable. But now we are going to consider a more advanced case in which number of independent variables can be 2 or more, and there may be some interaction between the independent variables. Right in the beginning, I must clarify that because there is a confusion among students, that interaction is not the same thing as correlation. While the term correlation refers to relationship between two variables, interaction means that the effect of one independent variable on the dependent variable depends on the value of the other independent variable. So it has nothing to do with relationship between variables. It has to do more with the effect of one variable being dependent on the values of the other. Friends, I would like to share some slides. I will go through them hurriedly because routine things are given in the usual textbooks, and I must focus on the conceptual issues involved in the analysis of variance. So ANOVA is part of the causal analysis used when the dependent variable is numeric and the independent variable is qualitative. There are 3 or more groups to be compared, because for 2 groups we can always use the Z test or T test. This ANOVA is based on F test, and F is defined as the ratio of 2 estimates of variances. Degrees of freedom of the numerator and degrees of freedom of the denominator constitute 2 degrees of freedom with which a theoretical F distribution is defined. ANOVA can also be used for comparing groups pairwise, and that is considered to be a more powerful test than a Z test or T test, and there are theoretical reasons behind that. We can still use ANOVA when the number of independent variables is more than 1. Thus, contribution of 2 or more independent variables are examined simultaneously. If any independent variable is numeric, we can still use ANOVA. Then actually it is called ANCOVA, means analysis of covariance. Analysis of covariance. ANCOVA, analysis of covariance, when 1 or 2 or more of a number of independent variables are numeric. Can be used for post hoc analysis for pairs of categories of any variable. This post hoc means that initially we apply analysis of variance one way or two way, or with or without interaction, for test of null hypothesis that the effects of all the categories of an independent variable are same. But later on, we can do many more types of analysis, and we can even compare categories pairwise. This all becomes part of post hoc analysis. An extension of one-way analysis of variance provides to test 2 or more effects in the same model, additive and non-additive. Additive models assume that the effects of different independent variables are independent and additive, while non-additive model, the term non-additive model is used for those situations in which there is interaction between different independent variables. Let me take an example. In this example, the dependent variable is achievement score. Data may have come from a survey or from a small experiment. And there are 3 categories of religion and 4 categories of education. Religion categories are Hindu, Muslim, and others. Categories of education are illiterate, primary, secondary, and graduate. And data for 12 respondents on achievement scores are given. Mean values are computed separately for religion and educational categories. And we want to test whether there is a difference in achievement due to religion or due to education, or whether there is an interaction between them. The method is same as of one-way analysis of variance. We compute total sum of square, we compute sum of square of religion, sum of square of education, sum of square of the error term or the residual. The term error in statistics stands for a number of things. It stands for measurement errors, it stands for sampling fluctuations, it stands for those independent variables which should have been considered in the model, but because of parsimony or other reasons, lack of data, we have not considered those variables in the model. And sum of squares of religion and education will be computed by summing the squares of differences between group means and grand mean multiplied by number of observations on which these means are based, as in case of simple ANOVA. So far it employs the same logic, same technique as of ANOVA. And we proceed in the same way. We calculate sum of squares of errors, sum of square of the two independent variables, religion and education, and degrees of freedom for each are computed separately. Degrees of freedom for the error is obtained by subtracting the sum of degrees of freedom of the two independent variables, religion and education, from the total degrees of freedom. Total degrees of freedom is total number of observations minus 1, and then we compute mean sum of square for religion, for education, and for the error by dividing sum of square by the degrees of freedom. And then we calculate F ratios for the independent variables, religion and education. Here is an example of the output of application of ANOVA. Actually, here the title says two-way ANOVA, but actually we have used one-way ANOVA method for religion and education, except one difference, which I will tell you what is the difference. The total sum of square can be calculated, and the degrees of freedom, you can see that total sum of square will be 8 plus 18 plus 10 means 36. The degrees of freedom of the total is 12 minus 1 equal to 11. The degrees of freedom of religion is 3 minus 1, 2. Degrees of freedom of education is 4 minus 1 equal to 3. And the degrees of freedom of the error term is 11 minus 2 plus 3, so 6. Then sum of square, then mean sum of square. Mean sum of square is obtained by dividing sum of square by degrees of freedom. And so in the first case, religion, 8 by 2, 4. In case of education, 18 by 3, 6. And in case of the error term, 10 by 6 or 1.67. We can also calculate mean sum of square for the total. Now, friends, the theory, the mathematical theory of two-way analysis of variance would say, yes, first of all, let me point out the difference. The difference between one-way and two-way analysis of variance is that the error term has been degrees of freedom and sum of square for the error term has been computed after computing degrees of freedom and sum of square separately for all the independent variables. And error refers to that part of sum of square which is not due to these independent variables. That is the difference. There is no other difference till now from simple analysis of variance. Now, F ratio. Now, friends, if you divide sum of squares by degrees of freedom, there will be, in this case, there will be 4 sum of squares. sum of square for religion, sum of square for education, sum of square for error, and total sum of square, which happens to be 36. Now, mean sum of square accordingly will be 4, and under the null hypothesis, it can be shown mathematically that all the estimates of variance of the population, which are mean sum of squares, will be same if null hypothesis is correct. If null hypothesis is correct means if there are no religious differences, if there is no educational difference, then the mean sum of squares against religion, education, error, and total will be same. Otherwise, mean sum of square for religion and for education will be greater than that for the error term. To what extent? To compare the mean sum of square for an independent variable with that of the error term, we calculate F ratio. And we follow the same logic. We fix F ratio at 5% level of significance or 1% level of significance. If the calculated value of F is less than the tabulated value of F, we say that null hypothesis is not rejected. Otherwise, we reject the null hypothesis. In this case, F ratio for religion is 2.39, and at 5% level of significance, it is 5.14. So we cannot reject the null hypothesis. In case of education, also we cannot reject the null hypothesis because the calculated value 3.58 is less than the tabulated value 4.7. We can, as I have explained in case of one-way analysis of variance, two groups of religions and two groups of education can also be compared. But here, in the denominator, we will use mean sum of square for the error term, which is always less than the pooled variance, square root of the pooled variance in case of simple Z or T. So we can compute pairwise differences between religion and education and draw the conclusion. There is a special version of ANOVA which is called factorial ANOVA. This is a way to study interaction and ideally used for factorial design, but is commonly used for survey data also. We are not spending much time on factorial ANOVA in this presentation. And though a simple illustration of the potentialities of this kind are given here. We have suppose data on 12 subjects. 6 are males, 6 are females. 6 are from urban background and 6 from rural. Now, why is it called factorial? Because both gender and urban-rural background are divided into two categories. Wherever you have a number of independent variables which are divided into two categories, then you can use factorial design, and you can also study interaction. So we can study anxiety score, for example, for males and females, urban and rural areas, and the model would look like this. This is a non-additive model with interaction. That the anxiety score of a person is intercept. Intercept is some kind of overall or grand mean plus the effect of sex plus the effect of urban-rural residents plus the interaction between sex and urban-rural residents. That is why sex multiplied by urban, that is written. Now the effect of urban would not be simply because of inclusion of the term urban, but also because of sex into urban. So urban into 1 plus sex. The model is this: anxiety equal to B0 plus B1 sex plus B2 urban plus B3 sex into urban. This is a non-additive model, as it assumes that the effect of urban residents on subjects might not be same for both males and females. In other words, total sum of square equal to between plus within, and between is sum of square sex plus sum of square urban plus sum of square interaction. Now this between sum of square has three components now. We are more interested in interaction than in main effect of any variable. If the former is significant, then the later is meaningless because the effect on one variable depends on the other. This is the example of the data. Anxiety scores for 12 people, their gender and their urban-rural scores are given. 1 for urban areas, 0 for rural areas, and in gender 1 for males, 0 for females, and anxiety score, and the serial number of respondents. There are 4 types of differences between males and females, urban and rural areas, joint effects of gender and urban-rural residents, random errors. As in one-way analysis of variance, they can be measured through variability or sum of squares of the different types of groups and residual term. F is calculated by dividing them by the appropriate degrees of freedom to have an estimate of variance in the dependent variable in the population. So two-way, the model of two-way ANOVA is like this. Xijk equal to mu plus alpha j plus beta k plus Eijk, where mu is the overall effect, alpha j is the effect of jth group of gender, beta k is the effect of urban residents, and Eijk is the random error. This is the example of additive model. The non-additive model or the model with interaction would look like Xijk equal to mu plus alpha j plus beta k plus alpha j multiplied by beta k. This is an additional term which stands for interaction plus Eijk as usual. Now this time obviously Eijk will be smaller than in the previous case because of addition of the term alpha j into beta k. The null hypotheses are of the forms that alpha 1 and alpha 2 are same, means effects of males and females, the two genders are same, or there is no difference between males and females. Also, there is no difference between urban and rural areas, so beta 1 equal to beta 2, and there is no interaction effect. The null hypotheses are stated in the form of non-difference. And the alternative hypothesis would be that alpha 1 is not same as alpha 2, means there is a difference. Beta 1 is not same as beta 2, means there is a difference, and there is an interaction effect. Method of calculation same, total sum of square, between sum of square, interaction sum of square, within sum of square. So sum of square total is divided into 4 parts. In one-way ANOVA, sum of square total was divided only by between and within. Now sum of square due to urban residents and interaction between sex and urban residents are also computed. Total sum of square between groups will not change, but sum of square within will be reduced. If you apply one-way ANOVA and consider only sex at a time, then that will be same. Sum of square and mean sum of square will be same as in two-way. Similarly, sum of square and mean sum of square of urban rural residents in one way and two way will be same. But now an additional term of interaction has been added, which also explains something. So sum of square due to error is reduced. And that is why the model becomes much more powerful. There is much higher possibility of rejection of null hypothesis now. Degrees of freedom for total sum of square n minus 1, sum of square between gender k minus 1, between the other variable urban rural p minus 1, for sum of square interaction the degrees of freedom is the product of degrees of freedom of respective independent variables. So k minus 1 into p minus 1. And if you add degrees of freedom for g and x and subtract and also interaction and subtract them from the total, then you get sum of square between degrees of sum of square within degrees of freedom, which is n minus kp. Let me repeat. The degrees of freedom for the total sum of square will be total number of observations minus 1. The degrees of freedom for a variable like g, gender, will be number of categories minus 1. For another independent variable, urban rural residence, suppose there are p categories. Here there are 2, but suppose there are p categories, then the degrees of freedom will be p minus 1. And the degrees of freedom for the interaction term will be product of the respective degrees of freedom. So k minus 1 multiplied by p minus 1. Now you have to compute degrees of freedom for within. They can be computed by adding the 3 k minus 1, p minus 1 and k minus 1 multiplied by p minus 1 and subtracting from the degrees of freedom for the total, which means n minus 1, and sum of degrees of freedom for sum of squares within can algebraically be shown to be n minus kp. So we get a number of estimates of variance of the population, one by dividing total sum of square by degrees of freedom, another by dividing sum of square between for one variable, then sum of square between for other variable by its degrees of freedoms, then sum of square by dividing interaction by degrees of freedom, and then dividing sum of square within by its degrees of freedom. The expected value of the first and the fifth is same as the variance of the population. The expected value of the others is equal to or more than the variance of the population. It is equal only when the corresponding null hypothesis is true. I think this slide is very important, and you should give due attention to the logic part of this analysis. If thus the ratio between the second to the fourth and fifth estimate is a test of the null hypothesis. If null hypothesis is rejected, at least 2 categories differ or interaction is significant. Then sum of square of interaction for interaction can be computed like this. Like you want to, one way of doing this would be take the difference between males who live in urban areas and all males living and females living in urban areas and all females, and take the difference of the 2 and square like that for all categories of A and B, means gender and urban rural residents. In factorial design, averages can be shown to be arranged like this. Males, urban, rural, females, urban, rural. One way ANOVA looks like this. It has one between, one within, and total. While ANOVA table for 2 independent variables would look like this. Here you have intercept, means a constant term, gender, urban rural. Urban stands for urban rural differences. Then there is interaction, gender into urban. Then there is error, which is within, and then there is total and corrected total. We are not going into the concept of total and corrected total. You can ignore the total part and focus only on corrected total. Actually, it has to do something with how to apply analysis of variance with regression analysis. So friends, you see, for this table, there is sum of square, like sum of square for intercept, 283.731, degrees of freedom 1, mean square 283.731 divided by 1. So same thing. Then gender 2.282, degrees of freedom is 1, because number of categories 2. So mean sum of square is same. Urban, rural and gender, degrees of freedom is again 1, because 1 into 1 is 1, and sum of square is 4.682. So mean sum of square is also same. And then gender, sorry, let me repeat. For gender, sum of square is 2.282, and since there are two categories, so degrees of freedom is 1, and mean sum of square is also 1. For urban rural categories, sum of square is 4.682, degrees of freedom is 2 minus 1. There are two categories, urban and rural, and therefore mean square is also 4.682. Gender into urban, sum of square is 0.355, degrees of freedom is 1 multiplied by 1, 1 for gender, 1 for urban, and you get 1, and this 0.355 divided by 1 is 0.355. So these are the values of mean squares which we will consider. Then for error term, you have 52.224, and degrees of freedom is 8, and mean sum of the square is 6.5, and then the computation of F ratios, which is mean square for intercept, for gender, for urban rural, for gender into urban rural, divided by the same for the error term, and then significance values, means at what level of P the null hypothesis can be rejected. If that sig is less than 0.05, we say that the null hypothesis is rejected at 5% level of significance. If it is more than 0.05, we say that it is not rejected at 5% level of significance. So among the 4 F's written here, there is only one intercept which is significant, otherwise all others are insignificant. That means there are no differences between males and females, there are no differences between urban and rural areas, and there are also no interaction effects. To explain the concept of interaction more clearly, friends, imagine that for males and females, you draw means separately for rural and urban areas. Now, here for females, in both the cases, rural areas and urban areas, scores are lower than scores for males. Means mean score for females is lower than mean score for males in both cases, urban and rural areas separate. But the slopes are different. When slopes are different, then we say that there is interaction, which means that we, okay, even if this is true that females have lower score than males, how much lower? That depends on urban rural residents. These are examples of interactions. Various types of interactions are possible. Interactions, there is interaction when the slopes are different, there are interactions when the directions are different, there may be crossover or non-crossover interaction. So the idea is that if patterns of the means of dependent variable are different for any one variable for different categories of the other variables, then there is interaction. The conventional ANOVA assumptions are as follows: that all the K populations from which samples are drawn have a common variance. All the observations are independent. That is the method of teaching applied to one group. If method of teaching is one of the things that we are testing, has absolutely no effect on the observations from the other groups, like urban, rural, or gender, uh, gender of the subject, urban, rural background, or uh, uh, region, or caste, or religion are not important. Non-additive models include an interaction term. EIJK is a random variable which shows a normal distribution with mean 0 and a fixed variance. If the variance is not fixed, then there is the problem of heteroscedasticity, and you have to do something about it. All group effects are estimated by using method of least squares and are equal to the difference between group mean and the grand mean. Interaction is estimated on the basis of difference of differences. There are limitations of analysis of variance. They are as follows: there may be unknown factors affecting the dependent variables, which we have not considered in the model. Heteroscedasticity, which as I explained earlier, the variance of the groups are not same. Then error term may not be n0 sigma square E fixed. Heteroscedasticity can be tested by using Levels test. There are statistical ways through which we can test heteroscedasticity. And normality of data or normality of error may be tested by applying Kolmogorov-Smirnov test or any other appropriate test. There are so many tests for examining whether the data are normally distributed, whether the error term is normally distributed or not. The options are learn from the review of literature whether you need to use one way ANOVA. See, your options are you go for one way ANOVA, or you go for two way ANOVA, or without or with interaction. That all depends on review of literature. Nature of data. What is the nature of data? Suppose your data shows variations according to one variable only, then you can apply one way ANOVA. If you have data on two independent variables and your data come from a survey, then you can go for two-way ANOVA. Similarly, if literature shows that interactions between two independent variables are also important, then you can go for two-way ANOVA with interaction. You can have three-way ANOVA. When you have three-way ANOVA, means there are three independent variables, say x, y, z. Just imagine that there are three independent variables, x, y, and z. Then the number of interactions will also be more. You can have interaction x, y. You can have interaction x, z. You can have interaction y, z. You can also have interaction term x, y, z. X, y is called interaction of second order. Likewise, you can have interaction of third order, fourth order, fifth order. But as the order of interaction increases, then interpretation of the interaction term poses a severe difficulty. Like if x, y is significant, you can always say that the effect of x depends on the value of y, or the effect of y depends on the value of x. But if x, y, z is significant, I don't know how to interpret. You can only say that effect of x depends on the values of y and z. But imagine that you have x, y, z, m, 4 variables, and interaction is significant. What practical lessons do you draw from this? So In practical applications, it will be better if we confine our interactions to interaction between two variables or maximum three variables. We do not go beyond it, even if there is temptation to do so and number of independent variables is large. Again, as I told you, in case of simple ANOVA, what kind of analysis you do depends on review of literature and nature of data. Large samples are always better. Experimental data are more acceptable because you can use the technique of randomization or matching. Randomization means that the subjects are randomly assigned to different groups of independent variables. Matching means that when randomization is not possible or the literature demands so, then you divide subjects into different categories of independent variables, matching them with respect to other factors which are not explicitly considered in the data. And however, panel data or longitudinal data give you better results, more dependable findings than simple ANOVA or regression analysis from cross-sectional data. As in case of one-way ANOVA, there is always a possibility of post hoc analysis, and much more can be done for comparing means group-wise after the null hypothesis, main null hypothesis has been tested. When we have a covariate, which is a numeric variable, suppose you are doing the same kind of analysis, and dependent variable is anxiety score. Independent variables are gender, means males and females. Urban background means two categories, urban and rural areas. And there is a third variable which you want to include directly into your analysis, and that is age. Then age is a numeric variable. Age is a numeric variable, but also an independent variable. In that case, you can apply ANCOVA, analysis of covariance. What we do in ANCOVA, ANCOVA differs from ANOVA with two independent variables in the sense that first we take out the effect of age. Means we fit a regression model, a regression of anxiety scores on age. Age is a numeric variable, so regression analysis of anxiety scores on age, and then for each subject we take the residual part, and that residual part becomes a new dependent variable, and gender and urban rural residence become independent variables, and analysis of variance technique is used. So it's a combination of regression and analysis of variance. Conceptual framework of ANCOVA is like this: independent variable, this is dependent variable, dV is dependent variable, and there are a number of independent variables, IV1, independent variable 1, IV3, IV4, IV2, IV5. And if any one of them, IV1, IV2, IV3, IV4, IV5 is numeric, or two of them are numeric, then we can go for analysis of covariance. Applications to reduce within group error variance, elimination of confounding factors. For those who are using SPSS, I would recommend them to read Andy Field's Discovering Statistics Using SPSS. This is an old book now, 2006 publication, but very good book. Suppose in our example, we have also collected data on years of schooling, and then it can be used as a covariate. We can apply ANCOVA, but the number of observations should be more. Yeah, there is no fixed deterministic rule regarding what should be your sample size, but usually, again, as suggested in this uh, Andy Field's book and other books, it is good if the number of cases or the sample size divided by number of all the variables that you are considering is 20 or more. That is all the better. So this is an ad hoc rule. You can feel happy with 15 also, or you may aspire to have a value of 25. This is an example of ANCOVA, intercept, schooling, gender, urban, gender into urban. Uh, the independent variables are gender, urban, rural residence, and dependent variable is anxiety. There are some other related forms of analysis, MANCOVA, multivariate analysis of variance and multivariate analysis of covariance. When your variables are not scalar quantities, but vector quantities, then you go for multivariate analysis, and multivariate version of analysis of variance is called MANOVA, multivariate analysis of variance, and multivariate version of analysis of covariance is called multivariate analysis of covariance. Computer does all everything for you, but you must only know the logic part. Again, in case of type 1 error, if you are going for post hoc analysis, then the type 1 error that you fix for one pairwise comparison is different from what you achieve in the overall analysis in application of ANOVA. So, for example, I'm repeating the example of analysis of variance, simple analysis of variance. If there are three comparisons, like and in each case you fix P to be 0.05, then probability of not committing type 1 error in the entire analysis would be 1 minus 0.05 raised to power 3, because you are not committing type 1 error in first pairwise comparison, second pairwise comparison, third pairwise comparison. So it will be 0.857. Thus, the probability of committing type 1 error in the entire analysis is 1 minus 0.857 or 0.143, which is not same as 0.05, which is much higher than 0.05. If you want to achieve 0.05 at the full analysis level, then your p-value for a pairwise comparison should be much less than this, and you can calculate what that should be. That suppose that value is x, then and you are trying to achieve 0.05 at the entire analysis level, then 1 minus 0.05, this should be this 1 minus 0.05 raised to power 3, 1 minus of that. So that can be calculated. The idea, let me repeat, the idea is very simple. Suppose there are three pairwise comparisons, because this is something complex, so I am repeating it. That suppose there are three pairwise comparisons, and in each your type 1 error is 0.05. So the probability of not committing type 1 error is 1 minus 0.05. The probability that you do not have type 1 error in any of the three comparisons, by using simple multiplicative rule of probability, that becomes 1 minus 0.05 raised to power 3 or 0.857. And so the type 1 error of the entire analysis would be 1 minus 0.857 equal to 0.473. If in place of 0.143, you make it 0.05, then 1 minus 0.05, here in place of 0.857, you will be using 0.95, and this value then can, in place of 0.05, what will be that value, which if subtracted from 1 and raised to power 3 gives you that 0.95, that can be computed. You can use your type 1 error for comparisons, and then keeping in view the overall type 1 error that can be computed. Thank you. So friends, this is what ANOVA with 2 or more independent variables is. The basic difference is, I should say there are 2 basic differences between two-way ANOVA and one-way ANOVA. One, that the number of independent variables in the causal analysis is 2 or more. While in simple ANOVA, there is only one independent variable. In case of 2 independent variables, there are 2 independent variables. And okay, if you are going for additive model, then this is two-way is very similar to one-way, because you calculate the sum of squares and mean sum of squares of each of the independent variables exactly in the same way in which we calculate them for one-way ANOVA. The only difference is that in the two-way ANOVA or three-way ANOVA or four-way ANOVA, the sum of squares of errors will be less, because now from total sum of squares you are subtracting sum of squares of error, sum of squares of different independent variables. So sum of square of the error term is reduced. Degrees of freedom of sum of square of the error term is also factored. So this is one difference. And therefore, a two-way analysis of variance will be a more powerful test than a one-way analysis of variance. So I would recommend that even if you are interested in only one variable, it is always better to go for two-way ANOVA or three-way ANOVA, because that takes into account variations due to 2 or 3 or more factors, and reduces the sum of square of the error term and makes your analysis more powerful. And the another difference in between one-way ANOVA and two-way ANOVA is that in two-way ANOVA you can also go for non-additive model and consider the interaction term, which right in the beginning I defined as the effect of one independent variable on the dependent variable if it depends on the values of the other independent variable. There is one more advanced type of analysis which is called ANCOVA. ANCOVA means when you have 2 or more independent variables and one of them is numeric. To have a more powerful test, you can apply regression analysis to that numeric variable or to those variables which are numeric, and then using the residuals of regression analysis, you can apply two-way analysis of variance for the remaining independent variables which are qualitative. This is a very powerful technique, but sometimes interpretation of results becomes problematic. And then there is one more version of analysis of variance, MANOVA and MANCOVA. M stands for multivariate. MANOVA stands for multivariate analysis of variance, and MANCOVA for multivariate analysis of covariance. The difference between simple ANOVA and MANOVA would be that in ANOVA, your measurements are scalars, single values. But if your measurements are vectors, you are measuring something in terms of a number of measurements, number of aspects, number of dimensions. then your measurements are vectors and you have to go for vector analysis. Theoretically, that vector analysis becomes slightly more complicated and you need to acquaint yourself with matrix algebra. Thank you very much, friends. I hope this lecture has been of some use to you at conceptual level.